Alright, if the Lord be willing and the creek don't rise, we're going live in just a couple of minutes, kids. I'm behind the scenes right now assembling my tools. Hear the ads playing in the background. Tater Dom is here. My good man, Tater Dom. My good man. You join me for like every live cast, man. I appreciate it. I'm currently behind the scenes getting everything set up. Making sure the audio is okay. I'm pretty satisfied with the audio. Come on. So we're going to go ahead and go live. Let's turn on the cameras. Turn on the cameras. Here's my intro panel. This is me. Hi, I'm the Old Humble guy. I'm going to put on a hat. Don't worry. Ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I'm going to go put on a hat right now. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, is another glimpse behind the scenes of what goes on at the Old Humble Distilling Company when y'all aren't around. You see that perfectly beautiful white background behind me? I did that a couple of weeks ago. And now we're going to do it over on this side. Will that work? Yeah, we're going to do it on that side of the room now. So that is exactly opposite of where I'm sitting, or roughly opposite of where I'm sitting. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3, yeah. The third panel right there that you see, the 1, 2, 3 from the door, that is straight across from me, like right directly across from me. So we're doing that. I'm going to do most of that today. The goal is to get to that third panel. And I think I have enough mud. I know I have enough mud to get all the way through to the end of I think I have enough mud in that box to get me there. Quick housekeeping. We are in the, I guess, last day of January for the fundraiser. So super chats go to the front of the line. That chat gets put on screen. I don't think I set up a chat panel. I did not. Damn. Always something. I'll get the chat panel popped out. So super chats go up on the screen. Always, always, always. And all of that money that goes to super chats goes into funding the studio directly. And every dollar super chat that you give gets you entered another time on the Wheel of Doom and Glory. Tater Dom, you've gotten into chat already, so you are on the Wheel of Doom and Glory for today, but you can add your name as many times as you want by supporting the channel specifically, supporting the studio. Every penny that I raise through the channel goes back to the studio because I sell whiskey for a living, and the whiskey supports the distillery. The studio supports the channel. Also, people who are subscribers, members, your annual membership goes to your just that. Your annual membership goes to your entries. So if you're a super fan, that's 25 entries immediately for the month, plus however many times you get into chat, or however many times you join a live, however many times, the rules are the same rules we've always had. And we are giving away a bottle. I've gotten the bottles in. I'm going to start bottling up the barrel-proof rye that we will be releasing this spring. Barrel-proof rye will be released this spring on our grand opening Spring Fest, Spring Mini Music Fest that we're going to have from the end of March all the way through April, culminating in a big show with 3 or 4 bands. We may do a band every week. I haven't decided. Depends on what I can book. But we are going to be celebrating the band, the release of the rye, the finish of the tasting room, and launching our way into a hopefully thriving and busy summer. That said, let's kick it over to the screen here. There's that. Let me get the chat on screen as well. That should do it. Did that do it? Yeah, there it is. It's over here on the right, but I'm going to move it to the left because I'm going to be working pretty much on those three panels. I'm going to start. Okay, so the plan right now is to start putting a trim, not the trim, taping the corners of, you can see how beautiful it is outside. It's 72 degrees outside, sunny, mild, absolutely beautiful weather. So I'm going to put trim around the door, the tape and mud, and make that corner a nice solid corner. And then I'm going to leave it for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to move on to the next three panels, and then I'm going to come back and mud everything around that door, put the skim coat around the door, and clean that up. So that's the plan for today. And in the and while we're at it, I'll chat with y'all, and we'll talk and see what topics come up, because you know, who knows what comes up. Who knows what will come up? Who knows? Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? Yes, we shall. Let me check and make sure we have video. Yep, we got good video. Good. Okay, on we go. All right. Let me plug my phone in so I can monitor chat. Chat. And honestly, I don't know how far I'm going to go. I know I'm getting better at the skim coating as I move along, because I'm less worried about it being perfect, knowing full well that I'm going to go back over it with a sanding with sandpaper to smooth it out. So I've gotten less concerned about it being perfect and more concerned about it getting done. Not too thin, not too thick, just right, done and done, finished. Finished is the goal, not perfect. Perfect is for the next phase when I do all the other stuff that I need to do. Perfection comes with the priming and the painting, or actually the priming and texturing. There's two more layers for me to put on here to approach perfection. Two more layers. There's the prime layer and the texture layer, and that's going to cover all this shit up another time. So, you know, even if I do approach what some would consider to be perfection, it's not really gonna matter. You know what? I can measure this. I don't have to guesstimate. I've got a god dang tape measure over here somewhere. You want to play the everyone's favorite game show? Where's my tape measure? Well, you don't have to, because I know exactly where it was. But now that I've actually touched it and I'm using it, we can play that on the next go round. Everyone's favorite game show. Where's so 95 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4 that are 95 inches. I'm going to go ahead and put the tape on the back here too, because I'm going to need to eventually. But also, I'm not gonna mud back here, but I do want to have this corner finished so I can mud. Oh well, shit! I'm not going to be able to have this corner finished. All right. Well, I'm not going to put because I still have to trim back here. I've got to trim that piece. This piece is good, but that piece needs trimming. I guess I could do that. All right. There's always something. There's always something that has to be done in order to go to the next thing and do the next thing and then do the next thing. But that's okay. I did this on purpose, actually. I remember doing it thinking to myself, I'm going to go back and trim this. So what I did was I made this an unfinished cut. So that I could come back and finish it. My plan for the grand opening is the last week in March. That's the goal. And I'm going to bottle up our giveaway bottles. They are 375s. They're not the full 750s because they are special editions. And if you have listened to me at all, you know that we don't do cask strength. That's not something that the Old Humble Distilling Company does. But I do have to make special labels for this stuff. So in order to make the special labels, I have to make the special bottles, and I have the special bottles. I don't want to divert my normal stock of bottles. I do want it to be special and look different. And I also don't want to have to charge $75 for a special release. So our special release is going to be very much a unique product. Half-size bottle, a half-size run, not quite double the proof, but close to it, but also half the price. I'm only going to charge $30 for the bottles, keep them inside that budget, inside the range of reasonable priced whiskeys. I don't want to gouge anybody, but I also expect they will all be gone by the end of April when we do our final show of the the final show of the Spring Fest. Come on now. Don't be stupid. Let's go. All right, I'm behind the wall. Which would be a cool report from a spy in the 80s. Come on. There we go. Nice. Okay. There we go. Good. Nice. All right, we're nice and relatively clean. So the next part of this is going to be putting an actual corner on this with the tape. Actually taping it and giving it a corner. Oops. There we go. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. All right, we're all set. I am going to have to sweep, get this out of the way. All right, now we can finally get started. What I say, 95 inches on both sides here. This one's clean, this side's clean. Yeah, we're good to go on both sides. All right. So 95 inches up. I need 4 strips of 95-inch tape. 4 95 inches. 4 95-inch strips. Yeah. And we will go that route first. All right, let's look at chat. Who's here? Still Dom? Still Dom. Good. All right. $95. There we go. I'm sure there are professionals out there who are like, he's doing this all wrong. And I don't doubt that. There are easier ways, no doubt, to do this. I don't know them, though, because I am, say it with me, not a professional at this. So I do not know what I'm doing. But I kind of have ideas. I think I know like most of what I'm doing, or at least what I want done. And sometimes that's all you really need, right? You just got to know what you want done. Even if you don't exactly know how to do it. Fuck me. Because then you can figure out how to get from point A to point B. And then eventually points C through whatever you need to get to. In order to complete the job. I mean, God knows, I didn't know how to make whiskey when I started making whiskey. I learned how to make whiskey. Through a process of trial and error. Mostly error, but also trial. We'll start here. I don't really need a lot. I kind of need to fill in the gap. But I'm also going to cover it up with tape so the gap is not too big of a deal. And there's a gap. But everyone knows you put your caulk in the gap to cover that up. And in this case, I'm not using caulk yet, just using some compound. And there's going to be a lot of spillage when I push it in all the way deep. A lot of spillage is going to come out of it, but that's okay. When you fill it up, when you fill the gap up effectively, there's always going to be a little bit of spillage that comes out. Just after you're done making the mess, you clean it up. And then everybody goes home happy. You just got to make sure you clean up the mess. and deal with any of the after effects too. Because there could be after effects. There could be expansion in the compound. There could be in the gap rather. There could be some expansion. Could lead to some cracking and breakage. There's a little bit of a lip on this one too that needs to be addressed, but that'll be addressed with the tape. All right. Now I take the tape, I fold the tape to cover the edge, then I place it in place. And I'll use caulk and joint compound interchangeably, even though this is not caulk. It is indeed a joint compound. But they're basically made of the same thing. And when you're using the joint compound like this to fill in the cracks, you're basically using it as caulk. So it's almost like an artificial caulk, a specific use caulk. Whoops, get it back up in there. Yeah, sometimes you got to use your fingers and really jam it in there. Now that's good. There we go. Now I get a little bit of mud on this. More caulk, if you will. And then I just kind of smooth out the edges here. Especially on this side. I want it to be nice and smooth. This side, I want that edge of that tape to be covered up. And in this case, I'm really making a corner, because this corner isn't, the corner with the plasterboard isn't perfect to begin with. There's a lot of space in the edge itself. So I'm trying to build the corner in. You know what I mean? Trying to build it up with the compound, with the caulking. And then when this dries, we're gonna have a nice solid caulk-filled gap. I'm gonna need to build this wall up a lot. But that's okay. Not the first time I've filled a big gap with caulk and built it up several inches. And then had to come back and tend to it later. I did it backed over there and over here and around the top of the tasting room as well. So it happens. You just deal with it as it happens. Yeah. Nice tidy little corner there. Happy little corner. Happy little corner. There we go. All right. Now we just got to do it 3 more times. But I'm really going to focus on the inside now, because I can come back and do the outsides later. Well, I'm going to do them all. I'm going to do the outsides and insides. Let's just not be silly here. Of course I'm going to get it all done. Front, back. Wherever there's a gap, that needs caulk, I will stuff that gap. Because that is my duty as a man. To make sure that these gaps are properly stuffed. There we go. This one's going on a little easier than that one. There we go. A little smear there on the inside for the tape to stick to. The inside is actually pretty flat on this one. There's not much of a gap here. Whoops. So it's not taking as much caulk. I mean, you can try to give it more, but since it's just not much for it to go into, you kind of got to be a little bit more patient and careful, because you can definitely overdo it. You don't want to overdo it. Never want to overdo it. Just want to do it enough. You know what I mean? All right, same basic process as we had a second ago. Fold it. And on the bathroom, I got these that were pre-cornered. So they were actually corner edges. And all you had to do was fill it up with, fill the strip up itself. And the edge itself was a 90-degree piece that you just put in place. But I decided to forego that this time, because on the bathroom they were 10-foot stretches, 10 feet going all the way up to the top. And on these, they're not exactly, they're all different sizes and shape. Well, not shapes, but all different sizes. So I figured I didn't have to go the pre-folded route. I could just go with the tape that I already had. And it's worked out fine for me. Haven't had any major issues. All right. Grab my blade one more time, give it just a little dab will do on this one. There we go. Oi. So I had my first run for my marathon training. I'm still committed. I haven't given up the idea of running a marathon before June of 2025, or by the end of June of 2025, I guess would be a better description of the goal. The plan is to, try to get, the goal is to get healthy. Be healthy. Eat healthy. Be healthy. More passion. The goal is to finally lose this damn COVID weight. The weight that I put on during the pandemic. And get healthy. Because I'd like to see my kids graduate college. I'd like to see them get married. And you come to a point in your life where you're like, I'm not getting healthier. It's not as easy as it used to be. That is actually a nice corner. Quite satisfied with that one. And I do have a corner trowel that I can use a specifically designed trowel that is a 90-degree trowel. And I may go back over these corners one more time with that trowel to give it the corner. This is a nice one. This has a nice fit. Not like these others. These others are pieces of crap. Who's in the chats? Still Dom? Hey, Dom. So yeah, the goal is to get healthy. And I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to eat better and get healthy and lose weight. Because I don't. I mean, you know, I got to be motivated. I got to have a goal. I got to have a very specific goal, very specific targets in mind in order to do the thing that I want to do. And what I want to do is lose weight and get healthy. And even if that's not, you know, getting back down to 180 pounds or whatever I was in college, I don't think I'd be able to do that unless I chopped off a couple of limbs, to be completely honest. In fact, when I ran a marathon, I don't think I was 180 pounds. I'm pretty sure I ran the marathon at 200 or 205. But anyway, the goal isn't to win a marathon. The goal is to run the marathon, finish a marathon. I ran one way back, eons ago, as a idiot kid, 31 years old. It's almost 20 years since I ran that marathon, and I still refer to that as my first marathon. Still refer to it as my first marathon. And for something to be your first, it implies that there's a second and possibly more, right? Right? So, if I'm going to keep referring to that as my first marathon, I need to run another fucking marathon, right? I can't just be all like, oh, it's my first marathon. When was your second? Never. I mean, that's dumb. That's dumb and lazy. That's rhetorically lazy at the very least. And also, I would argue, physically lazy. Because following that first marathon, I ran half marathons. Every like 6 months, I'd run a half marathon. And geez, if you're running a half marathon, how hard is it just to run a couple more hours? Knock out a full marathon, man, you big puss. And my best half was like 2.5 hours, which was a great half marathon. 2 hours and 24 minutes to be exact. That was my best half marathon ever. And then I got knee surgery. I didn't pop anything. I tore a meniscus or something in one of my knees. I don't remember which one it was. That's how long ago this was. I'm pretty sure it was my right knee. But don't hold me to that. Like I'm going to be running for office and somebody's going to be on your YouTube video on January 31st of 2024. You said you tore your right one when it was your left one. Your medical records say. I'll be all like, shut up, you dumb moron. Why are you running for office? Do you know better? You got a history. You got opinions. You can't run for office. Anyway, you got a trail of dead hookers behind you. How you plan on running for office, you moron? Anyway, so no, I'm not running for office. If that's a question that you ever wanted to ask me, no. The answer is no. Never in a billion years would that ever happen. So anyway, and not the least reason being, not just because I've got like a life that I've lived behind me that political parties would find possibly embarrassing, what with being a sin merchant, whiskey salesman, and all that. just say, I know the answer to whose leg do I have to hump to sell a bottle of whiskey around here. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Wouldn't hump a leg. That's demeaning. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah, not the least reason being, if I was ever on a debate stage with somebody running for office, the chances of me saying something along the lines of, are you listening to this fucking bullshit from this goddamn moron? Would be extremely high. And it makes it very hard to get elected when you're willing to say, likely to say, something like that out loud. Don't listen to this bullshit, this motherfucker. And then everybody would gasp, moms would grab their pearls, kids would start saying what I said, and they'd be all like, he's unfit for office. I'd be like, no shit, I'm unfit for office. I hold this whole place in contempt. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, the marathon, yeah. Then I blew out my knee, got knee surgery, quit running, got fat, got fatter, got in shape, got myself back down to like 215-ish. I mean, I dropped like 20 pounds because I had a bit of a health scare. It was an anxiety attack, but it felt like a heart attack. So I joined a gym, lost some weight, then COVID, and I gained it all back. There we go. Nice corner bead on this one. I'm happy. So I'm going to let this dry. Then I'm going to come back through and smooth out the face on this side. You know what? Where's that corner trowel? Should I? I mean, it's a pretty solid corner. I don't think I need to futz with it. It's good. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I'm going to sit here and futz with it because even though I say it's good, it doesn't have to be perfect. I still would like it to be perfect. Stop it. Move on. Okay. I'm not going to use this. This being the corner trowel. See? Nice 90 degrees. It's not quite 90 degrees, but if you have it at the right angle, it makes a perfect 90-degree corner. All right. On to the backside right here. Now, it's important to remember when you're putting caulk in the backside. Hang on, I got to smooth this out a little bit more back here. When you're putting caulk in the backside, you have to be very steady. Because you don't want to damage. You don't want to damage the gap. So you want to make sure. I'm so juvenile. All right, that does that. I'll trim the paper real quick. All I was using there was a metal ruler. The same ruler that I used to trim the tops off the walls around here. It's a straight, flat metal edge. It's not even sharp. It's just a flat metal edge. Whoops. did not measure across the top, I realize. Not gonna be a problem, I don't think. Oh, I also wanted to talk about, oh, I haven't finished about the marathon. So anyway, I decided I'm gonna run a marathon in before I turn 50 is the goal. A marathon before I turn 50, which gives me 18 months remaining from now. I made the decision in October, which was 20 months. The decision was to run a marathon in the next 20 months, but now I have about 18 months left to do it. But the goal had always been October, or to get started running around February-ish, because the weather in December was shitty. I wasn't going to run in December. Who runs in December? Except for people already planning to run the marathon in January, which, by the way, was absolutely atrocious weather this year. In the 50s, if I'm not mistaken, which is great for running, don't get me wrong. It's good running weather, so it was good for them, but not really great if you want to do much of anything else. Well, anything else outside. Meanwhile, I was cooped up in a fireworks stand for the last week of the year, not running a marathon, not even preparing to run a marathon. But yeah, I know kind of what it takes to train for a marathon because I've done it before. It takes a lot of running to train for a marathon, so I figure I need to run 250 miles this year, in the next 12 months, if I want to run the January marathon in Houston. The Houston Marathon's in January. And it's a big one, so it's well supported. One of the biggest in the country. The thing is, it's also expensive. Like $130 to run the marathon. And last I checked, there was a bit of a lottery system for getting into the marathon. So just signing up and paying for it doesn't mean you're in. What's going on here? My video frozen? Or did my... No, my video didn't freeze. My camera froze. Or my phone froze, rather. So anyway, there's a bit of a lottery system, I think. But the marathon's also a qualifier for bigger marathons. Like Boston. It's a Boston qualifier. And I don't have any delusions of being able to qualify for Boston. But people do. I am thinking about starting a legitimate running club here with the distillery. Which, yeah, it would be pure marketing. You don't have to run if you're part of the Old Humble Running Club. But membership is like, I don't know, let's call it $25 to be a member of the Old Humble Distilling Company's running club. We will train for the marathon. But my running skill, my running level is so so atrophied over the years. I mean, I used to run consistently 930s. My pace was a consistent 930. Consistent. 930 to 10. Consistent pace. Whether it was 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. And my normal training runs were 3, 6, and 11. I had a route for each one of those distances, 3, 6, and 11. That's good. All right, onto the wall. Oh, I got to do the top side. Let me measure that out. Should be 6 feet less an inch. Up here should be, yep, 6 feet less, 1.5 inches to be exact. So 70.5. Give me a tape that's 70.5, and we'll be good to go. And then onto the wall. What was I saying? But yeah, I was consistent with 10 minutes. 10-minute miles, 9:30 to 10 minute consistently. And today I ran 11:30 pace. It was horrible. But it's the first time I've actually run what'd I say, 70.5, right? It's the first time I've run in God knows how long. Like anything more than 30 or 40 feet. My left Achilles is a little gimpy. I don't like that. That's not good. Because that's what was giving me problems when I quit running. A chronic Achilles tendonitis, along with a chronic what was the one in the plantar fasciosis? Plantar fasciosis is what you get when fasciitis becomes chronic. The fasciosis means you done fucked up and you're not going to be able to treat it with stretching anymore, dum-dum. That's what it's the Greek term. Or maybe it's Latin. I don't know. But it functionally means, ow, shit, that hurts. Every morning it hurts until you warm it up, and then it doesn't hurt quite so much. But every morning getting out of bed, you feel that damn thing, and it sucks so much. And there's not really a whole lot you can do about it, except be in pain, and you get a platelet therapy. That's what I ended up doing. I got platelet therapy for my foot. And man, that hurt. They take a big giant needle. First off, they take your blood out. and then they run it through a centrifuge to collect up platelets from your own body. And then they take your own platelets and put in a big damn needle, and they shove it through your hardened tendons that already hurt like hell. But when they do that, it sounds like they're bending celery sticks. And yeah, it hurts like shit because you don't feel anything because you're numbed from the anesthesia. Because, whoo. But then he sticks that needle in there and he says, I need to make sure I'm in the right spot. Tell me if you feel this. And I'm like, no. He's like, I'm looking for the nerve. And as he says nerve, he hits it. And you're like, ah, that's the one. You found it. He goes, yeah, that's usually what it sounds like. I'm like, dude, you could have warned me. He's like, not all my patients are bitches. I'm sorry. At least that's what I would say if I was the doctor. Sorry, not all my patients are bitches. You're just a particularly dainty. Is it Mrs. Brita? Fuck you, man. And you got to go to like 5 or 6 different doctors to get this stuff done because most podiatrists are like, yep, this is what happens when you run marathons, and they don't want to treat you for whatever reason. But you got to go from doctor to doctor, try and find one that is a runner or used to run because they're all like, yeah, running's bad for you. And you're like, screw you, dude. I'm not asking you for your permission. I'm asking you to fix me. Be one of those doctors. Be a mob doctor. Don't be a real doctor. So you got to find a doctor who like has running trophies in his office so he understands what it is you're trying to do. So anyway, yeah, I ran today for the first time in eons. For the first time in eons, and it was not a great run, but it was a run. And that's what's important when you're doing stuff like that, is it's not how good it is, it's just the fact that it is. And anything is better than nothing. And I sat there today contemplating it. And I was like, I'll do it after lunch. And then I had to be all like, no, man, I got to do it now. I got to do it before lunch. It's going to take 12 minutes for my rice to finish cooking. So I got to get out there and give it 12 minutes of effort before lunch. And so I did. I did it. I got it done. And that's what's important. I got the first one in the books, the first one under my belt. The next one's going to be worse. It's going to get much worse before it gets much better. Because that's how it works. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes a process. And that process is getting worse before you get better. Because you gotta shake out all the bad that you've accumulated over the years of sedentary lifestyle. You gotta shake off the cobwebs, shake out the bad juju and bad mojo. And then as you progress, it gets steadily better. All right, there was actually a gap on that side. I had to fill it in. And now I'm going to put a little bit of mud up here. And a little bit of mud up here. Oops. Come on, don't make me fall. And then a little bit down here. Oh, that side. And spread it across. our meatheads at the CrossFit gym are home. I hear them pulling up, moving weights. I like those guys, I really do. And I don't mean it when I say the meatheads across the way. I don't mean it in a derogatory manner. I don't know of any other way to describe. I mean, they are muscle-bound hulks. They're beautiful specimens of humanity. I used to be a member of a CrossFit gym, but I never achieved the level of physical possess because I really like hot dogs and pizza and whiskey. And you know, there's just some certain things that I love for quality of life purposes, and I don't want to give them up. And what's the point in living if you can't eat hot dogs, right? You telling me I can't have a beer? Screw that. Although I do have a buddy who has full on given up whiskey, or at least more than one a month. And if you're only going to have one a month, I mean, really, you're not having any. You know what I mean? That's just not a. I mean, at that point, you're not even doing it. You know, it's like, this is my one. No, I mean, at that point, I wouldn't even buy alcohol unless it was at a bar. If you're going out to a bar, how are you just having one? You're going to drive to a bar? And I know there's people who go to bars and don't drink any, but I'm just saying, the time value of going to a bar and then only having one drink and then going home? Why? I mean, is it happy hour? You meeting friends? Okay, cool. I'm just going to have one. I'm going to head out. Okay. I guess I get that. I guess that makes sense. But that's the type of thing where it's got to be on your way home from work or something, I guess. Because, I mean, it just feels like, I don't know. If you're driving on, if I'm driving an hour to spend 2 minutes at a place, it seems like a waste. You know what I mean? Put a little dab right there. Did I put any over here? No, I didn't caulk that. All right, well, I'm going to leave that be. All right, time to get on with the wall. Time to build this wall. Mr. Gorbachev, build this wall. All right. All right, now I'm going to leave this side blank for now. I'm going to move on to these two panels here. I'm going to move on to these two panels, then I'm going to come back when that's dry and hit that panel. And above the door. Probably going to need another box of joint compound, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Not that one. This one. The right tool for the job. Always have the right tool for the job. All right, so now that I'm done talking about the marathon and the Old Humble Running Club, which is a thing. It's a membership of one at the moment, but you know, I'm dedicated and committed. I start at the top and work my way down. Yeah, I'm gonna need to tape over that too. I'm not there yet. Don't have to worry about it. All right, skim coat away. Blunk. All right, here we go. Whoa, don't fall. Oh, here we go. That was great. Overextended. Almost busted my ass. I need to tape up an outlet. Where's my tape? There it is. Tape around the outlet before I forget. Like my butt. But. See my booty. See my booty. See, that stuff takes forever. The whole taping around the wall, or doing the taping on the joints, taping the wall joints and all that stuff. That stuff takes forever. Drives me nuts. All right. All right. Let's go. In legal news, this is a great story. I don't want to give his name. I'll give his real name. I'm not going to give his cover name. Roland Zepeda is a piece of shit prank comic, but not one of the funny kind. He's the kind that actually assaults people and has one of those, has a bodyguard next to him to make sure you don't give him what he deserves. But he teams up with a piece of shit buddy who's in jail right now. But he and his piece of shit buddy assaulted an old man in Dallas. And when I say old man, I mean like legitimately old. Dude was an elder, senior citizen. And in the state of Texas, assaulting a senior citizen is a felony. The prison kind of felony. And he sent this guy to the hospital with one of his stupid pranks. He hit him with a roll of bubble wrap or something like that. And I mean, it hit him hard enough where he was bleeding. Had to go to the hospital, concussed him. Like, it was a whole deal. And in Texas, if you do that to somebody who's a senior citizen or in a wheelchair, you have committed a felony. And as part of his parole for that particular criminal activity, he was told to not do this anymore. Don't post any more videos on any of your platforms. And he has a website, a subscription-based website, in addition to used to be YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms. And while during his parole, when he was supposed to be on parole, during that period, he came to Houston. He lives in Houston. he came to the Houston Specs, the Midtown Specs, and he got in the face of one whiskey man. And I'm not going to give his screen name. I'm going to say his name is Roland Zapata. This is the same Roland Zapata who blocked traffic on Interstate 45 in order to play a game of basketball. Yep. Blocked traffic on a whole interstate so that he could play a game of basketball with his stupid friends in the middle of the freeway. Needless to say, he's an unfunny piece of shit. But he decides I'm going to be his next mark while I'm working at Specs. Which sucks all by itself. Because, you got to deal with a bunch of idiots already in these places. Most, 99% of the people in these places are just fine. But every once in a while you find one who's rude or a legitimate moron. And I feel sorry for the people who are contractors for actual tasting companies, because they have professional marketing companies that hire people to do these things. And these are basically just, girls, mostly models. They're not necessarily equipped with the tools to extract themselves from someone who's being a moron. So I'm there, and I see so much stuff happen. I see guys trying to give these girls their phone numbers, flirting with them, talking to them about their guitar collection. That was one dude in College Station. Would not shut up about his stupid guitar collection. Absolutely would not. And she's like, that's nice. That's nice. And I wanted to save that poor child. She wasn't more than 24 years old. She didn't know how to get out of that. But he eventually got the hint from her and went away. Gave her his card to some coffee shop, which she immediately threw in the trash. But anyway, this Roland Zapata dude, he comes up to me, he and his dumb friend, who is his bodyguard, to make sure that he doesn't have to suffer the consequences of his actions. And I gotta say, the bodyguard was pretty cool. He kept his mouth shut and kept his distance. But this guy comes up, and he tries to give me he takes a shot, and he tries to give it back to me. He tries to tell me to put it back in the bottle. And I say, I can't put it back in the bottle. Just throw it in the trash. Dude, don't worry about it. He's like, I'm not going to throw it in the trash. You don't have to be a jackass. I was like, what? Now I see something weird is happening. This is when I recognize the strangeness of the interaction. He starts calling me a jackass, and I call him a jackass, and it starts going back and forth. He says, well, you want me to give you a wedgie? I'm like, you do it, dude. And, I look around. There's like security in the place. He's not coming towards me, so I know that something's up. Like, I can tell by the look on his face. He keeps glancing over at his boyfriend. I can tell there's something going on. So I don't press it. I move to the side of the barrel, give him a chance to do something. He's not doing anything. He's not making advances. I was perfectly willing to take this dickhead outside. But it didn't come to that, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I guess. My wife says fortunately. I say unfortunately. But the Garrison Brothers guy next to me, me and him were laughing about it a little bit. I'm like, this is just the weirdest thing. And then the dude at Spec says, yeah, that guy has a YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, well, I guess then we'll be on YouTube, won't we? And yeah, we were. We were on YouTube. No, we were on Instagram. But then the prick doesn't even bother to give attribution. He doesn't bother to name the brand, doesn't bother to tag me, doesn't bother to do anything except call me from a blocked phone number and harass me about it. And has his stupid fucking followers leave bad reviews on Google and Yelp. So not only is this piece of shit using my image to make money and not crediting me for it, this piece of shit is also using his fucking followers to try and hurt my business. He's an absolute dickhead of a human being, and he did it all in violation of his parole, which is just great for him, because at this point, I hope he gets absolutely everything he deserves while he spends time in ass-pounding state prison. Which has not yet come to pass. There's still some legal stuff that needs to happen for him to actually get his just desserts. But the prosecutor in Dallas, the county DA, tells me that as soon she's got a case that she's working on right now that's gone to court. As soon as she's done with that one, then she focuses on Roland, and he becomes her hobby. So I may be going to Dallas to testify against this piece of shit, which I cannot tell you how much joy it will bring to my life to have this dirtbag, to see the look on his face as he realizes what's about to happen to him. Because I like making hobbies out of dirtbags. And, you know, his Instagram channel is gone, or at least one of them. His YouTube channel's gone. His website still exists with all of his subscribers on it. And I'm told he has like 30,000 monthly subscribers, or 3,000. Oh, more than several thousand monthly subscribers to his website. These are people that pay for periodic content. I'm happy with that. All right. Is this one ready yet? Nope, still wet. Okay, you can wait. When we go to the next one, I think I need fresh mud. Get you out of here. So, that's kind of what's been going on in the digital world with me lately. Like this guy, I've been battling Google trolls and Yelp trolls, trying to get their shitty reviews removed. And they're clearly, I mean, they couldn't be more fake. I'm well aware that all whiskeys are not for everybody. And a legitimate complaint, yeah, man, I tried it, I don't like it. Like, I meet every single person that comes into this building. There are not people that I don't meet, because when we're open, I'm here. And the fake reviews are easy to spot. One of them said I pressured them into buying a whiskey, and then I got mad when I didn't do the one they wanted. Like, that's fucking bullshit. I don't care what whiskey you buy. Ah, come on. Poop. One of them said that me and a group of people threw them out. I don't have a group of people that work here. I mean, you can see, I mean, especially the ones that all came in and like, oh, Roland, Top Shelf Dustin, cheers, welcome to the party. I'm not going to give his screen name. I will tell you his name is Roland Zapata. You can Google him. He's got a rap sheet the length of my arm. He is a legitimate, honest to God piece of animated human trash. If you took trash and brought it to life, you would get Roland Zapata. He stole GoPros to do his stupid stunt. He stole GoPros from a house in Baytown and used those GoPros for his stupid stunt blocking the freeway in Houston. He went to jail for that, obviously. But there's not a punishment severe enough for someone who will shut down a freeway to play a fucking basketball game. There's not a punishment severe enough. Like somebody who does that, like dragging them out back and beating them within an inch of their life would be an appropriate response. What the hell? That's not even like that tape is not even taped. What the hell is going on here? That tape was not even set. It was just flopping there on top. But yeah, I won't give his screen name because I don't want to give his stupid channel any fucking run. Doesn't deserve it. But he has on more than one occasion come very close. And when I saw him at Specs, I swear to God, I thought he was retarded, like mentally damaged, brain damage, mental function inhibited, like legitimately, like, you know, when I say retarded, I mean like his processing was slow, like slowed down, retarded. You know what I mean? Like flame retardant, he was think retardant. And in retrospect, I realized the reason for that is because he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at his little boyfriend to make sure that he was safe, seeing how much time he had. And I was trying to be loud enough for the security guard to hear us and hear what was going on, because those guys don't mess around. But I wasn't trying to be so loud as to turn the customers off who were legitimate. I mean, come on. I'm a middle-aged white guy. I have superpowers. And those powers are the benefit of the doubt when cops show up. Among other things. And yeah, I know how to take advantage of those powers. And that's why you send me in to buy the drugs. You don't do it, I do. That way when the cop stops us, I can be all like, no, officer, I was just like trying to get directions. And the cops will be all like, okay, sir, move along. And that story is only slightly apocryphal. Ah, shit. Well, welcome to the party, Dustin. I appreciate you joining us. This dude is the memo that 90... Yep. He is, like, I'm legitimately surprised he has not gotten concussed by one of his stupid pranks. I'm legitimately surprised that somebody hasn't rolled up on him in broad daylight and quote unquote pranked him. He is a full on steaming piece of shit. He is a garbage human being, and again, he deserves literally everything that he's getting that's coming to him right now. 100%. And all of his associates, his stupid boyfriend, the one that goes by a color, he's in jail right now, as far as I know. But I have the ability to be a hothead. I am not always a hothead. I don't go from 0 to, all right, let's fight. I mean, you got to wind me up. But boy, once I get wound up, I get my knuckles all lined up for a fight. I'm ready to fight. Let's go. I'm down. I'm not going to back down from it. And, funny is one thing. Stupid, dangerous, interfering with my work, that's another thing. That's a whole nother thing. And I'll slap the shit out of a bitch if I need to. I don't mind. Because, again, middle-aged white guy, I have the superpower of benefit of the doubt. And if I need to bring closure to a situation, I'll do it. I'm not one to advocate violence, but I also know that sometimes violence is the answer. Sometimes it absolutely is the answer. I got a phone call. Hold on. Excuse me. Hello, this is Joe.
Yeah, either way, pins don't fly across the room on their own. He might be able to bullshit at the school, but he's not gonna be able to bullshit at home. I know how gravity works. Mm-hmm.
No, let's go picture in picture. All right, here we are. Hello. All right, there we are. I'm gonna catch up on yeah. That's the guy, Roland Zepeda Jr., age 36. And no, I don't need a bodyguard. I can handle. I am quite capable of handling myself. Thanks, though. Um, 99% of toothpicks are staged. Yeah, and you know, like when the people walking, they do the dumb pranks, like they trip, and it's like the pranks where like nobody gets hurt. That's you know, when they do something weird, like the fake farts next to people and stuff like that. That's like tolerable. But man, when you start winding people up just to see what happens, yeah, one of these days you can get jaw jacked, you can get stabbed. Um, Anyway, where are we at? Two cops talking, so we had a fight. Only witness is holding a hammer and has blood stains. The other guy was hit in the head with a hammer. It seems to be dead. What did the white guy say? It was self-done. Yep, that's it. That's yeah, that's that's what I'm talking about. I've got, you know, I've got superpowers. Why is my scenes thing being weird? All right, anyway. Okay, live back to the live shot. Oh man, did I just? Oh shit! Oi, 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 oi. Okay, good, good, good. I did. I just broke the clip off my microphone. Fabulous. Okay, into the pocket it goes. Headset activated. All right, we're good. We're good. All right. Back to the wall. But yeah, Roland Zepeda Jr. is a complete and total piece of shit. And what's worse is his stupid fucking goobers that follow his channel. At least I assume it's his stupid goobers who follow his channel. They're the ones going onto my Google page, my Google business page, my Yelp page, and leaving shitty reviews. If I could leave a -1 star, I would. Like, fuck you, man. You weren't even here. They haven't even been here. Obviously. If they'd have been here, they'd know that I'm a cranky bastard. No, I mean, Jesus Christ, you come to the distillery, you're going to be drinking with the owner of the distillery. I'm going to have a drink with you. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to mind the bar. And if you say, hey, man, come on over and have a drink, I'm going to come over and have a drink, and I'm going to tell you some stories about my fake travels, or sometimes even real travels. I'm going to tell you stories about what we've done at the Old Humble Distilling Company. And you are going to have a good time. A good time. I will see to it that you will have a good time, because that's what we do at the Old Humble Distilling Company. We sell good times. Little empty spot there that I found. Had to fill it in because I missed a spot. Keeping your head above water. Now this wall is going to be a full. What's going on here? This wall is going to be fully. This is not going to have a wainscoting or anything like that. It's just going to be full paint from floor to ceiling with texture. Floor to ceiling paint texture. Ugh. The other walls are going to have wainscoting on the bottom, roughly third of the wall, about 42 inches. Roughly. Easy credit ripoff. Good times. But yeah, we're gonna have this painted and textured and a mural put on the wall. What the hell is going on here? There we go. That did it. Look at my butt. Look at my butt. Look at my butt. And there we go. This section is now complete. All right. Anything else? Anything I need to touch, tap, or dap? I think we're good on all the little bits. This one right here. No, but at his height, this little piece of shit Zepeda, he had like 30,000 followers on YouTube. Maybe more. He might have had 300,000 on YouTube, but he lost his channel on account of him doing illegal things on his channel. Because I think the assault of the elderly was done on the YouTube channel, if I recall, which is why you can't find his channel anymore. But you can find sites that have his content. He's not getting credit for it. And I have a copy of the video that he has with me in it. And I may show that video as part of another video giving an update about, longer form video doing an update. So this forward was the goal for today, doing a longer form update video about stuff going on at the shop here. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this over here. We dry. This feels pretty dry. This feels pretty dry. Okay. So I'm going to start on this side and work my way over. How are we doing? What are we doing? What's the word? No crime by age. You would jump from 25 and don't break out for more ages. What? Looking up crime rate by age. For some reason, we jumped to 25 plus and doesn't. Probably because most crime is committed by people under 30. So once you get above 25, the crimes actually committed start to fall to a point where there's not really any point in breaking them out by age. You know what I mean? And that's my hunch, at least. Most of the vast majority of crimes would be committed by, I'm guessing, males between the ages of 16 and 25. Which also would make sense for most crime to be committed by males between ages 16 and 25. And once you get above age 25, there's not a meaningful separation, or at least not a meaningful enough number of crimes. I'm guessing once you get above age 25, most of the crimes we're talking about are financial crimes or murder. Just, like straight up, just like, probably financial crimes is my guess. People, you don't get a whole lot of physical crimes. I mean, these are people that ideally, probably, presumably, by this point, oh, there's a little spider. Get out of here, spider. If they're going to be they're either in jail for 15 to 20 years in their teens. Yeah, I mean, violent crime, if you commit a violent crime and you're 20-something years old, you're spending the next 30 or 40 years in jail, right? Or let's say 15. You're 25 years old, you spend 15 years in jail. You're 40 when you get out. So there's not going to be and most crimes are committed by, they're not first time commit. They're not one and done type of things for most crimes. And there's always a first time offender who gets in there. You got to start your career somewhere, right? Or at least this is what we were told in the 90s, that a lot of your crimes are committed by career criminals. So if we put the career criminals away, crime rates go down. But we weren't told about uneven policing and predatory policing policies and things like that. Which create crimes. And if some neighborhoods were policed at the same rate as others, or if all neighborhoods were policed at the same level, then crime statistics would look vastly different. We're not told that usually. We're just told that the statistics speak for themselves. But they don't. They really say what we tell them to say. Based on the data that we collect. Because crime statistics don't tell us about the crime rate. They tell us about the arrest rate or the report rate. There we go. That helped. All right. Smooth it up a little higher. I mean, all statistics tell us about what it is we want to measure, but they don't tell us necessarily the truth. They just tell us about the data that we collect. Sometimes it tells us how we collect the data. It tells us a story about that. Sometimes. But it doesn't necessarily tell us the truth. And an interpretation of the data never tells us the truth. Interpretation tells us what we are, tells us a story based on how we read the data. Because that's what interpretation is, how we read the data. Oh, and if you ask anyone in the comedy community what they think of prank comics, they are without question and without hesitation unanimously reviled in the community that they claim to be a part of. I'm a comic. No, you're not. Comics hate you. If you were a comic, you would have access to stages like a comic does. You would have, I mean, that's like me calling myself a first baseman. What team do you play for? Well, I don't play for a team. No, then you're not a first baseman. No, I guess I'm not. When I sold cars a lifetime ago, had a guy come into the dealership, talk to he was a dumpy black guy. Talk to one of my fellow dealers, car salesman, put on his application, first baseman for the Houston Astros. If y'all know anything about the Astros in the 90s, you know that the first baseman for the Houston Astros was one Jeff Bagwell. And he is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a dumpy-looking black guy. He is a rather yoked white dude, especially in the 90s when he was taking all that creatine and shit, working out 9 times a day. Dude was yoked. He was a straight-up specimen. It was like all the other ball players in the 90s who didn't juice but ate creatine like it was a... Whoop, come on. Like it was going out of style, which it was. We just didn't know it yet. But he came in. It was Darryl Ward, the backup, the third backup first baseman for the Astros, and starting right fielder for the Astros. He was a right fielder for the Houston Astros, but he puts on his application first baseman. They're like, dude, does Jeff Bagwell know you're the first baseman for the Astros? Because I think he would probably have something to say about that. Anyway, that's the day I met Darryl Ward. Dude had a beautiful swing, but he had an eating disorder. And not that he was anorexic or bulimic or anything like that. It's just that he ate everything that he could get his mouth on. Dude was a fatty. And that is not, when you're told to get into shape for spring training and your response is to show up to spring training as a fat ass and you're trying to win a starting position, you end up getting traded to, I think it was the Padres that took his fat ass in. And he tooled around the league for a while. I think he had a good, solid career, but he never lived up to the promise of a sweet, swinging, pure hitter that he was. And he might have been designated hitter type material for the Astros if he'd have been around when they moved to the American League. But I don't think he was in the league anymore when they moved to the American League, because that was several years after this, 20 or so. He'd had to have had a long career to make it that far, and I don't think he had that long of a career. Y'all can look up Darryl Ward on your own. You don't need me to be a baseball historian. I'm not much of one. I really only pay attention to the Astros. Not once you leave the Astros, you're kind of dead to me as a player. I'm not going to follow your career out of deep interest in former Astros lives. I just don't care. Once you leave the team, you're gone. You don't want to be an Astro. You don't need to be on my radar. Go be a fucking Yankee or a Met. That's where most of the players go. They get successful in Houston, and then they go to New York for the money, which is fine. Go to New York for the money. That's fine. More power to you. But don't sit here and act like I'm supposed to give a shit about you once you go to New York. Fuck you. I hope you pull a muscle. Fuck New York. Fuck the Yankees. Fuck the Mets. Also the Dodgers and the Angels too. Not a big fan of those guys. But especially the Mets, the Yankees. Another phone call. Pass. 346. I don't recognize that area code. I can wait. All right. Last section of wall that I want to get done today. Let me see what's going on in chat with my boy Dustin. Seems to drop down after 30, way down after 35. Yeah. That makes sense. But assault is, most violent assaults happen with late youth. I think 23 to 39 counts as late youth, right? You're not quite middle age at 30. Once you get above 30, you kind of start moving into that middle age bracket, right? And I think really once you get, what you're talking about at that point is you're talking about people with stuff to lose. You know? Once you get into your 30s, now you're talking about people with careers, homes, family, usually wives and kids at that point, right? You know, you're talking about 30-year-olds, you're talking about people who probably are on their second or third kid, if they've got kids. So they kind of settle down in general. I mean, if you're like me, I was getting my MBA, bought a house. Was it my second? Yeah, we were working on our second kid. Our second kid was in the process of gestating when I turned in my early 30s at least. You know, I had a career that I was working on, a path for success that I was working on, building wealth. Of course, all that changed, and I'm now my third career as an entrepreneur and business owner. But that's kind of when, at least guys, I think, start getting super serious. I mean, we're usually getting pretty serious in our early 20s, but by the late 20s, you know, the late 20s, you're usually on your second career, and I think by then I was on my second career. And you still got enough piss and vinegar in your veins in your early 20s that you can get yourself into bar fights and trouble. But by your 30s, the carousing kind of dies down a little bit. You're not spending every Friday night and Wednesday night and Thursday night with your boys at the bar. You know, that's kind of been replaced with time at home. So the opportunities for trouble are fewer and farther between. And hopefully your fellow mates shun that kind of behavior as well. So like everything is calming down in general. Plus the kids are probably moving their way from preschool to elementary school. So the duties as a father are increasing, right? Like before that, a lot of the duties can kind of be dumped on the mom. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's kind of what happens. But once the kid turns 5, you got t-ball, soccer. Ooh. The meatheads at the gym are running. Nice. But you got t-ball and soccer and just, you know, more fatherly duties. Especially if you have a second kid. Because now the division of labor usually has dad picking up some of the tasks. Usually. Not always. So yeah, that makes sense. In your late 30s, you become more domesticated. Or your late 20s, rather. You become more domesticated. I know that's how it worked, and that worked out in my house. When the kids were little, when the first one especially was little, I was getting my MBA, but I was also spending a tremendous amount of time out. I was not a particularly good husband to my lovely wife because I was leaving her at home a lot. But I was leaving her at home with a kid that was sleeping. I mean, it's not like I left her with a colicky baby who was always sick. A couple of patches that need to be touched. And then we're done with that wall. Or at least that section of wall. All right. In retrospect, I probably could have gotten some hobbies that were at home. But you know, a guy can only play so much World of Warcraft before he starts to go bonkers. There we go. I'm calling that mostly completed. After I smooth this out, smooth this out, smooth that out. I hear a person. Hey.
From next door, they left it over there.
Oh, great. Thank you. Somehow doubt it was important information. Yeah. Got an envelope that says important information. That sounded like my wife. Envelope that says important information enclosed. I don't think it is. All right. I am calling this satisfactorily completed. Yep, I'm satisfied with this. Anyway, so yeah, that makes sense. The crime data shows a significant drop off after age of 29. That makes sense. In my limited understanding of how a boys' brains work, that makes sense. I'm no psychiatrist or anything, but I have stayed at Holiday Inn Express in the past. Let's see here. Do I see any spots that are thin that need to be touched up? Nope. Any thick ones that need to be touched up or smoothed out? Nope. Did I just mess up a perfectly good spot? Yes. All right. So anyway, with all that said about Roland Zepeda, if you've had our whiskey, but only if you've had it, go to Yelp, not Yelp. Yelp is if you've been here in person. If you've had the whiskey, go to Google and leave a review. But only if you've had it. I don't want fake reviews. Real reviews of people who've really had the whiskey. Tell the world what you think. It'd be helping us out a lot. Or at least a little. And a little goes a long ways. I have a program that I'm going to start here. I have a little card that people will be able to just tap, and it'll bring them right to the Google link. They'll be able to just tap their phone, and it'll bring it up right on their search browser, and they'll be able to leave a review right here before they even go home. Won't that be convenient and nice? I think so. All right, last little bit here. There we go. I have learned that it really helps to have two scrapers doing this. That way you have the one scraper for the specific job you're doing. When in this case, it's this edge. And this scraper is perfect for this edge because it's wider than the section that I'm doing. Then I have another scraper to clean it off. Huh, like an imperfection right there that keeps coming through. Nice. All right. I'm pretty satisfied with this wall here. With this section of it at least. And of course, this whole thing's going to get primed, textured, and painted. So there's still another 2 layers of goop and gunk that are going to go on top of this wall. And it's going to be primed, textured, and then painted. And once we're done with the paint, we're going to put just a basic coat of paint on it. Then once we're done with that, we're going to get a muralist to do some art. What did I see needed? Just a touch right there. Right there, right there, right there, right there. Uh-huh. Anyway, so I'm pretty satisfied there. It's relatively smooth. Got one little spot right here that I want to touch. Oi. And we're going to have, I'm not going to have full wainscoting around these walls, but I will have trim on the tops and bottoms and in the corner. Some wood trim basically going all the way around the room on the top. under which I'll have my lights. String of LED lights going around the top for mood. It's already getting dry. It's beautiful, fantastic. All right, what time is it? Let me go over here. If I'm not gonna do more, I should do more, shouldn't I? Looks beautiful. So looking at a salt, 23, 29 seems to be on average. Let's do picture in picture here. Is that me? Got good? We good? Okay, we're good. No, let's do the other picture in picture. I don't want that picture in picture. Let's do this one. That's better. Okay. Less of me, more of the room. Found more detail. 23. Nobody in their 30s will ever own a home again. No, don't go with never. There's going to be a great, if the feds ever get around to telling equity funds they can't own houses, and this shit with equity firms buying up all the houses is a goddamn devil's bargain. They're buying up the houses, artificially propping up the property values for the banks. I mean, it's a shitty situation to be in because it makes it really hard for normal human beings to buy houses. Meanwhile, inventory of homes are just sitting there on the books of equity firms, holding their value, even though they should be falling in value. But that's going to push more people into apartments inside the city, hopefully higher density housing. Something's got to give at some point. So yeah. When I was a kid, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people in their 20s and 30s were buying their first homes, sometimes their second homes. So yeah, average age for a father of the first kid is near 31 now. Damn, it's moving up. It was down in the early 20s when I was a kid. I mean, and I know the first age of the parents' age of the firstborn kid's been going up. I didn't realize it moved into the 30s. I thought it was still in the late 20s. Good Lord Almighty. I mean, I don't want to say that's like evidently problematic, but that's not a good sign for long-term health and viability of the economy. You know what I mean? When you're 60 and your kid's graduating from your youngest kid is graduating from college. I mean, I'm going to be 55 when my youngest graduates from college. 58? I'm going to be 58. It's going to be 10 years from. Yeah, it's going to be 10 years from now. So I'm going to be 58 when my youngest graduates from college. When you're moving into your late 60s and early 70s when your kids are graduating from school, that means you're going to be working a long damn time. There's a lot of people who aren't going to live long enough to see their kids graduate from college. That's golly. That sucks. That sucks a lot, man. I mean, think about that. Think about what that means for the society at large, right? Think about, we do that every once in a while, Barbarella. But think about what that means for society at large. I mean, a generation of kids graduating college whose parents aren't old enough to see them graduate from college, or whose parents don't live long enough to see them graduate. I mean, I guess that's kind of how the boomers were. Does that mean we're raising another generation of fucking boomers? God damn it. Because there's a lot of boomers whose parents just dropped dead, or at least whose dads dropped dead at an early age, because it seems like the fathers of the boomers died off young. They either lived to be 90 or died young. Not really a whole lot of middle ground between. Did I not mud that, or did it just dry already? I think it dried already. Good. Yeah, this part's dried. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna touch it. Oh, wait, I gotta touch this right here. All right, I'm not touching it anymore. No more. No more. No more. No more touching. No more touching. No more touching. No more touching. That is, by the way, how my second child was born. Or conceived, at least. I didn't have much to do with the birthing. I was in the other room. No, actually, I take that back. I was in the room when my second kid was born. I was in the other room when my first kid was born. Being all macho, I should be in the room with her. Like, then I stopped for a second. Like, what the fuck am I going to be doing in the room with her? Y'all know what y'all are doing. There's doctors in there with like experience and education. I'm gonna stay in here. Y'all got anything like good drugs or something? That's when the nurse laughed. You're like, we got you taken care of, sir. Speaking of Bimbo Barbarella, I'm gonna be on her show Friday. We're talking about Taylor Swift and her music on Friday, just so we could piss off a bunch of mediocre white men. It sounds like a fun time to me. Hang on a second. The meatheads are running. I love runners. People who are actual runners, not fat guys like me who are trying to run to lose weight. I like actual runners. They're men and women alike. The physique of a man who runs is just remarkable. And watching guys who run, you know, at the park, Memorial Park, watch just groups of people when they run together, their cadences match, and their feet, the way they run, and their cadences match, and their strides all match, and everything's in sync, and it's like watching a herd of freaking gazelle running. It's just a beautiful. It's literally poetry in motion. It is so much fun to watch. I've never been that good of a runner that I could even come close to hanging with those beautiful, beautiful creatures. Never even come close. But it is absolute poetry and so much fun to watch. The distance runners, when they're just in their zone, galloping and just gliding across the floor of the ground. Oh, it's so beautiful. So much fun to watch. Excuse me 1 second while I slip into the other room. So much fun to watch these people do that. And it's an activity that can't be matched. I take that back. It can be matched. Because anytime you watch professionals in their zone, when they're working as a team, professional, lumberjacks, when they're whacking away at a tree together, which is rare because usually they work by themselves. But, or when the rail workers, when they're working on a rail tie and they're hammering away in sync, one at a time, bang, 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 bang. The choreography of masters of their art and their craft is just something beautiful to watch. Absolutely something beautiful to watch. And it is approaching 5 o'clock. And tonight is the last night that my whole family is together before we break up into constituent parts over the winter break. So I'm actually going to shut this down in about 5 minutes. But I did want to repeat, I'm going to be on Bimbo Barbarella's show this Friday. 9 p.m., Barbarella? What time are we on the show? Male runners kind of look like children? No. I'm talking about the professional, high quality you know, 2.5 to 3 hour marathon runner type of guys, the guys who that can maintain a 6 minute pace over 5 miles and 10 miles. These guys, they got long legs. Their strides are consistent. They're just they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. And being something of a man who is fond of the female figure, women who run, they're the leanness and just sveltness. Is that a word? The way female runners are built is something that I am almost problematically attracted to, because my lovely wife used to be a runner. She hates it when I go to the park because I'll drop back and I'll run a little bit slower, but then the truth is I can't hang behind. I can't even hang behind the female runners. I'm way too slow. But not the elite marathon runners, the female elite marathon runners are a little bit too lean for my taste. The good park runners are the ones. Anyway, I'm veering into creepy territory, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to wrap up the show now. It's my job to go home and start dinner. So this is what we've done. A good solid, what is that? 6, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 feet of wall. Looks like I've got about 12 feet left to go. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 16. I have 18 feet left to go. In order to have the whole inside, which I'll be able to knock that out tomorrow. That's no problem. 18 feet left to go to finish up the whole inside. I may not stream tomorrow. I may stream tomorrow. Congratulations to Bimbo Barbarella, Top Shelf Dustin, Tater Dom. You are all been added to the Wheel of Doom and Glory for a drawing of our Cask Strength Rye Whiskey Special Edition to be released in March. You will get an early copy or an early version of that bottle. 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, which is 9 p.m. Central Time, right? No, 7 p.m. Central Time. Because we're an hour behind it. No, hour ahead of the East? Shit, which is it? When it's 8 there, it's 7 here. 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be, I'll be on the show with Bimbo Barbarella, if the Lord be willing and the tech holds true. I'll be on the show with her. We'll be talking Taylor Swift. And we'll go crazy. When you buy a DSLR and film them in the park. No, oh yeah. No, we're not. That's no. We're never doing that. Oh yeah, John's already been entered into the drawing. I always forget about him. I don't even think he's on right now. If you are John, give me a shout. I don't expect to see it. I mean, he usually starts up to give me my tech check and make sure that everything's normal. And then I don't see him for the rest of the show. He's a good friend. He's a good friend. He may have me on in the background and he's just not paying any damn attention. I don't know. Not my problem. But mad props to John. For all the help that he does do. He probably gives me a solid 3 or 4 hours of viewing every time I do the show, because he probably just turns it on and just fucks off and does whatever he's going to do. I've seen him comment a couple of times during a show. But there you go. So again, cheers to all y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Even just your presence helps with the studio fundraiser, because just your presence means additional revenue through the ad revenue at the beginning of the show. So I absolutely appreciate that as well. And the more views, the more hours, the more engagement we get during the show, the more they push it out to other people. So that every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. And that said, it's time to wrap up the show so that I can go home and start dinner. Cheers to all of you fine folks. Thank you for tuning in. I will continue to be, and have been, the Old Humble Guy. And you, my adoring audience, continue to stay awesome. Cheers, and good night.